Smoked cream cheese is great, don't get me wrong, and I know it became really popular recently, but you need to try smoking this because it is going to up your appetizer game to the next level. And if you have a pit barrel cooker, this is a must-have recipe for your arsenal. So what I'm talking about is Brie. So Brie is some sort of fancy French cheese, I think. It has this rind on it that is covered in this weird sort of white fluffy mold or something. Again, I'm no cheese expert. All I know is that this stuff is good. And it smells a little funky. So it's got a pretty pungent smell when you give it a good whiff up close. But don't let any of this deter you. This stuff is fantastic. Trust me. So they call Brie a soft ripened cheese. And if you cut this in half, you would see inside the middle that cheese is super soft and creamy. And that is something that makes it so good. Let's get into prepping this so we can get it out on the smoker. So the first thing we want to do to this Brie is cut the top part of this rind off here. Now I like to use a serrated knife. That seems to work the best for me, but it is still a pain. So if you know a better way to do this, please leave it in the comments below. I would love to know because this is how I've been doing it and it is not that easy, but it is still the easiest way I have found so far. I've tried using a big serrated knife. I found the small one seems to work best for me. I've tried a nice slicing knife. Again, didn't work. So you can see what happens. You still got a bunch of the rind left in there. We got to get rid of that. So just take your time and be careful. And again, you could leave some of this on here. It's not a big deal. The rind is where you're going to get the stronger flavor of the cheese for sure. So if you find you don't really like that pungent cheese flavor, make sure to get all the rind out of there because the creamy cheese in the middle is a little more mild. So sometimes I'll just take the tip of the knife and kind of scrape the rind out. All right, so you can see why I would prefer to have a better way to do this, but this works fine. So what I like to do is kind of just push in the middle a little bit, just flatten this out. Now we're gonna get rid of this. Now get a piece of heavy duty tin foil. We're gonna throw that Brie down, and then we're just gonna make a foil boat for the Brie. Foil boats aren't just for meat. We can use it on cheese as well. So we're just gonna crinkle that tin foil up. Make a nice little boat for this thing to sit in. Now the main reason for this is it's just going to help the Brie keep its shape. So now that we got the Brie in the nice foil boat, couple more things before it's ready for the smoker. You're gonna wanna get some hot pepper jelly. This stuff really isn't too spicy, but if you don't like any spice at all, try and find yourself just a nice red pepper jelly, that'll be fine. Then just put a generous amount on top of here, and we're gonna go ahead and just spread it all over the top of the Brie. You're gonna want a good amount of this stuff on here, so don't skimp on the jelly. I'm telling you, you're gonna want a good amount. Just make sure you have a nice layer and that it's all the way to the edges of the Brie. Final step, some Italian seasoning. And you are going to want to go on with a very generous amount of this Italian seasoning. I know this may look like a lot, but trust me, you're gonna want all this on there because there's no seasoning on the inside of the cheese. So this is kind of just gonna get mixed up with everything. So this is what you want right here. Beautiful layer of Italian seasoning with that pepper jelly underneath. This is ready for the pit barrel. Let's get it on. All right, out at the pit barrel cooker. Got some nice smoke here. All you're gonna wanna do is throw that Brie right on the grate, both rods in, and get it covered up. You wanna let the Brie cook on the pit barrel cooker for between 45 minutes and about an hour and 15. This is all gonna depend on how hot your pit barrel cooker is running. Now, if you decide to do this recipe without a pit barrel cooker, which is totally fine, I've done this on my offset smoker. I've also done it on a pellet smoker. It always comes out great. I just really prefer the method of using the pit barrel cooker. It always comes out a little bit better, but the offset and pellet smokers work great. The only thing with the pellet smoker is it doesn't really pick up too much of a smoky flavor, but it's plenty. If you're gonna be doing this on an offset or a pellet smoker, try and keep your temperatures between 225 and 250. You don't really want the temps to get too hot. You want a nice low temperature and slowly bring this cheese up and let it get nice and creamy. So if you're using a pit barrel cooker, to get the best results results, what you're gonna wanna do is as soon as your charcoal starts to light, or if you use the method where you dump the pre-lit charcoal into your basket, as soon as you do that, throw a couple wood chunks right on those lit coals and let them burn for about a minute or two, then throw your brie on and get the lid on. This is gonna make sure the barrel's not too hot when you start the cheese, and those wood chunks are gonna smolder, and you're gonna get a really nice smoky flavor on this brie. Now, since it's not gonna be on too long, you don't have to worry about getting too much smoke on there. It'll be fine. So for wood, you wanna use something light that doesn't have too strong of a flavor. Something like a fruit wood is best. So today I'm going to be using cherry. Any lighter wood is what you want to use for a cheese. But all we got to do now is just make sure that smoker doesn't get too hot, and I'm going to check on this after about 45 minutes. But let's jump right ahead and see how this brie is coming along. All right, 45 minutes on the dot. Check the brie out. You can see it is definitely done. Nice and bubbly. So let's go ahead and get this off. So this brie is done and it smells absolutely amazing. The pit barrel cooker makes this cook so easy, and I love that thing because of how versatile it is. My first smoker was actually a pit barrel. It was one of their junior models. That's where it all started. I made some really bad barbecue on that thing, but that was all due to my own fault. Once I figured out how to cook properly, that thing just turned out some of the best barbecue I've ever had, and that is why I got hooked into cooking barbecue. So if you're interested in one of these pit barrels, I'll make sure to put a link down below. You can check them out. If you already have one, you understand how nice they are. But let's get into this brie. And the best thing to serve it with is some nice slices of bread, or what I actually prefer is some Triscuits. This goes very well with that. If you're looking for something more low carb, I have had it with pork rinds, and that is phenomenal as well. So the options are really endless, but today I got some bread, so let's give this a try. Now you can also serve this with more pepper jelly, which I highly suggest. Let's go right in the middle. And you want to get a spoon and just scoop out some of that nice gooey cheese. Just check that out. Does that not look good or what? So get that on the bread. Just like that. Beautiful little morsel here of brie. So let's give it a try. So good. You gotta be careful with this because you can eat a lot. So I wanna mention I did let this cool off for about 10 or 15 minutes and it's still super hot. So make sure to let this cool off properly because someone will get burned. But this stuff is one of my favorite recipes, and once you give it a try, you will see why. And I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure to give it a like, and I'm gonna put everything I like to use down in the description below, so be sure to check that out. And if you're new to the channel, make sure to subscribe right over here, and if you wanna see another great barbecue video, you can check this one out right over here. But most importantly, get out there and smoke something good.